everyone, it's Miss Sarah from the Cedar County Conservation Board. Today I'm going to teach you how to plant a tree. So when you get your tree, it'll actually be in a little baggie. First thing you need to do is take the tree out of the bag. It can't grow in the bag, as you well know. So take it out of the bag. You're going to have to clip that little zip tie that's probably on there. Make sure you're very careful not to break your tree when you do that. And then once it's out, put your tree in a bucket of water or a tub, whatever you need to. That way it'll soak in that water. Soak it for about 3 to 6 hours, however long you want. Now, if you can't plant your tree right away, you can actually leave that tree in that bucket of water for about a week, okay? After that, make sure you get it planted. So first thing, take your tree out of your bag. Second, you are going to soak it in some water. Third thing you're going to do, you're actually going to find a good spot to put it. Where's a good spot? Well, good spot is a place where that tree can actually spread out. As Lydia is going to tell you, or has already told you, that tree is going to get tall, about 75 to 100 feet tall. That's really big. That's bigger than a semi truck, okay? That's huge, okay? So it will get about 100 feet tall and about 75 to 100 feet wide. That's really, really big. So those northern pecans get very large. So make sure they're in an area that they can really spread out and grow to their full potential. Because those trees can live 300 years. That's a really long time, okay? Now, one thing to look out for is power lines. The city of Tipton has lots of beautiful trees on one side because the other side is all been chopped off because people planted them close to the electrical line. So power company is going to come along and just zip off those branches right next to the power line. So don't put your bush or your tree anywhere close to those power lines, okay? Because those will be cut, okay? We don't want to do that because you're going to take care of your tree and love it very much, okay? So find a good spot for it where it can really spread out. If you don't have a good spot, maybe your neighbor does, or maybe grandma and grandpa, or your aunt and uncle. Find a good spot for it. If you can't find anybody that has a good spot for it, contact me. It's naturalist@cedarcounty.org. And you know what? You can call our office, 563-886-6930. And you know what? We'll work something out and you can put your tree at one of our parks. But we'll tell you where to put it so it's a good spot that you can take care of it and come and see it all the time too, okay? So we'll work something out with you if you guys can't find a spot to plant your tree. So, planting your tree. First thing I like to do is dig a hole. I use a spade, that way I can get nice and deep and it makes a nice little hole as well, okay? So once you got your hole dug, how deep do you dig it? Well, you need to dig it deeper than the roots, okay? And you want to make sure that the bottom soil is nice and soft and fluffy. What does fluffy mean? It means it breaks apart. So this would not be good next to your tree. You need to break it apart, okay? So sprinkle that soil into the bottom. That way those roots, those tiny little roots, have a nice soft spot to grow into, okay? You also need to make sure your hole is wide enough. That way your roots can grow out because you know what? Tree roots will grow down, but they also grow out a long ways too, okay? So once you got your hole dug, it's deep enough. Double check it. Yep, deep enough. I like to water it, okay? So dump a whole bunch of water in. How much? I like to do like a half a gallon. You can do as much you want. Want to do a gallon? Do a gallon. Okay, the main thing is that those roots, those bottom roots will get some water, okay? So after you're done pouring some water in your hole, the next thing you want to do is make sure that your roots are not going to be too deep. Plant it too high, be just fine. Plant it too low, it won't grow. What does that mean? Well, you have to plant it so this top root is at the very top, just barely below the soil, okay? That's the top root on the tree. You want to plant it what's called the root collar. Root collar is a big spot right here. So go skinny, 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 and then it kind of flares out. The root collar goes out and gets wider. It's right by that top root right there, okay? So that's all the deeper you plant your tree is the top root. Just make sure the soil's barely on top of that one, okay? So I'm gonna size it up, okay? The top root's right there, okay? I'm gonna break up my soil, put it into that hole. It has lots of water in it because we have lots of clay at our office. And then just keep on filling it in. And if you need some help, so that way your tree is nice and straight up and down, get some help. Ask your parents for some help. Ask your brother, sister, your neighbor, whatever, okay? But make sure your tree is straight because if it's crooked, your tree's gonna grow crooked too, okay? So keep on crumbling up all that soil. Lots of stuff to do. So if you have clay soil like this, sometimes it's really hard, but you know what? You can do it. I know you can. So keep going with this. Be strong, use those muscles of yours. then keep on crumbling up all that stuff. Sometimes you can find some really cool stuff living in the soil, because soil is living. It's not just dead. There's lots of tiny little things in there, like tiny little bugs. There's some worms, and you know what? There's also really tiny things like bacteria there too. It's good bacteria though, okay? So, got our tree. Oh, I dug it a little too deep. Pull it up a little bit. Right there, top root. Just barely cover that up, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand like a triangle and go around it. Make sure there's some dirt on this side. And I'm going to squish it down, okay? Just squish it down a little bit. You're not going to stomp on your tree. Just squish it with your hands, all right? So, got the tree in as straight as I could. Squish down the soil. Now, what we're going to do as well, we're going to water it. So, you can finish off your gallon of water. Keep watering it. The water's still going down the hole. Perfect. See how it's puddling up? That's when you sit and wait and let the water soak in. And if you have clay soil like I do here at the office, you're gonna have to wait a while, and that's okay, but make sure you water your tree a lot, okay? That's one of the main reasons why trees fail, is because people don't water them. You need to water them really well for the first year. After that, not so much, but the first year you really need to water it. You can water your tree every day, it's okay. But you know what, if you have a puddle like this tomorrow, you don't need to water it, okay? It means you have too much water, and that's all right. Just leave it there, okay? But water your tree. The other thing you need to do is to protect your tree. Why? Well, because there's wild animals out there, okay? There's deer, there's rabbits, they get hungry, okay? What they actually do is they go and nibble on the tree. Sometimes they nibble all the way down to the ground. Why? Well, there's no green grass growing in the wintertime, and that's what they eat, is little trees and shrubs and stuff like that. Your trees and shrubs are perfect little things for them to nibble on, so protect your tree. How do you do that? You can put a fence around it, okay? I like to do a fence because that tree can really breathe and you can see your tree, and then it can grow really well. How far away from the tree do you need to put it? I like to do 3 feet on each side of the tree. So you're gonna have a big circle around your tree. That way, when the deer get hungry, deer are really big animals, okay? They weigh more than I do. They'll just lean in on that fence, but you know what? They can only lean so far, okay? So put your fence about 3 feet away from your tree. That way it'll keep it nice and protected. Another option you can do is put a tree tube over it. I don't like these as much. Why? Because you can't see your tree in there. Okay, the other reason is sometimes your tree actually gets too hot in these because it's made out of plastic. Yes, there's little holes in it, but still your tree really needs to breathe, and then it can't spread out its branches either. So the tree can get too hot, it can get moldy. So I'm not a huge fan of tree tubes, but if that's all you got, hey, that works too. Another thing that you can do is you can mark it so people don't run over it. Like, hey, you know, you like to play soccer out in the yard? Sweet, that's awesome. But sometimes you forget that this tiny little thing is there. You can mark it with a flag, okay? That helps to remind you that, oh, hey, bright color, I need to go around there because that's where a little twig is, okay? The other thing is mulch your tree. Mulch is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And remember, you're in 3rd grade, 3 by 3 by 3. What does that mean? Well, you want mulch to be 3 inches away from the tree. How far is 3 inches? About your pointer finger, okay? So about your pointer finger away from the tree in a circle, okay? So 3 inches away from the trunk. What's the other 3? Okay, 3 inches deep, about 3 inches deep, which is about your pointer finger deep, and then 3 feet wide. That's really wide. Why do you want to do 3 feet away from your tree? Your tree's not that big. Well, guess what? When mom and dad are mowing, guess what? They're going to hit those wood chips and it's going to go chunk, 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 chunk. And guess what? They're going to be like, what did I hit? Oh yeah, I hit the wood chips that are right by the little tree. And hopefully the little tree didn't get run over, okay? So, and if it did, it's okay. Forgive your parents, forgive your brother and sister. Accidents happen, okay? So, but mulch is a great way. So if you can do mulch and a fence, you are really well protecting that tree. But remember, water your tree, okay? And find a good spot for it. And if you guys have any questions, please let us know. We'll help you out with it, okay? Take care, guys. Bye.